This is the top spec fully loaded TVS Apache RR310, updated for 2025 to take the mantle of TVS's flagship motorcycle from the new RTR310. The changes start with this optional, gorgeous looking bomber grey paint scheme, these funky winglets and the transparent clutch cover which looks brilliant. Even the 312cc heart has been updated to pump out 38 PS and 29 Nm. That's 4 PS and 1.7 Nm more from the old model, making it the most powerful mill from TVS thus far. And to complement the bump-in power, you have the option of getting the whole suite of electronic aids from the RTR310, including the bidirectional quick shifter and the performance kits as part of the TVS build-to-order program. The dynamic kit unlocks the addition of the IMU, which means you get cornering ABS, cornering traction control and cornering cruise control, while the dynamic kit offers the fully adjustable KYB forks and KYB shock, adjustable for preload and rebound. You also get the brass-coated chain and the tire pressure monitoring system. What all of these changes translate to on the road? Let's go find out.
Nothing like starting the morning in the track mode, eh? And already you can feel it. The engine is so much stronger up top. Because normally on the previous gen motorcycle, at this time you could feel the engine running out of steam in the higher revs. You felt like it had hit a wall, but this one is continuing to surge on right up to its rev ceiling. Definitely much stronger top end on this one. And what adds to this race to the top is the addition of the bidirectional quick shifter, which really adds to the overall experience, the acceleration as you go up the gears with the throttle wide open. And you can do that with a lot of confidence, also knowing that you have sticky Michelin rubber and really good braking system at your disposal, so you can drop the anchor in a flash. Or when you suddenly hit a bad stretch of road like this, yeah, the braking comes really handy. But if anything, it also helps you understand just how good the suspension is on this motorcycle. I think the KYB folks on the RR310 are hands down one of the best suspension units that I have experienced. They're perfectly damped, perfectly sprung, give you the comfort you seek when you're going over these bad stretches. And just with a few clicks, they transform the RR310 into a proper track tool. But yeah, I wouldn't really recommend attacking corners on this RR310, because despite being designed on a racetrack, the foot pegs on this are too far forward and you start grazing them even before you know it. And honestly, that makes me kind of angry, kind of mad, because the previous iteration of the BTO of the RR310 had the rear sets as a part of the performance kit. But for this iteration, you have to buy them as an accessory. They're not part of the performance kit, which really sucks, because you're essentially being robbed of one of the best things about the RR310, which is its handling, which you cannot exploit with these front set foot pegs. And in fact, the more I ride this in the corners, it's the smaller things which are again kind of getting to me. Like for example, the cornering traction control is a welcome addition. It's definitely a fantastic safety feature to have. But the way they have tuned it, it's far too intrusive. It feels more like a hyper-protective nanny than a performance aid designed to help you go faster. So it's just far too intrusive and cuts power when you least expect it, when it's honestly not even required. And the same thing with the cornering ABS. It's a lovely safety feature to have, and you won't really mind it at all or have a problem with it here on the road. But on the racetrack, you will definitely find it too intrusive and getting in the way of you clocking a good fast lap time. And as I've dropped the pace, that's another thing I'm noticing. The bi-directional quick shifter is fantastic when it's working, but especially in the first two gears, it's not the smoothest, it's not the most consistent. And talking about that, I'm also noticing there are a lot of things on this bike which needed to be improved on the previous iteration, but TVS have failed to do so. And the biggest problem I have with this motorcycle now is the fueling. It's actually pretty bad, because this is what I mean. So now I'm riding in the track mode. Yeah, at 4500 RPM there's a big flat spot. So the motorcycle, you can feel the revs building, and then the performance just goes down and then again picks up after 7000 RPM. So essentially under 7000 RPM there's nothing, and that's a big problem, especially when you're trying to do a quick overtake in a higher gear, which means you're forced to downshift. And the bigger problem of always having to ride in such higher revs are the vibrations. Unfortunately, they're back. I was quite surprised because I was so impressed with the refinement levels on the RTR310. So I thought it would be just as good, if not better, on this. But no, the vibrations are definitely back. From as low as 6000 RPM, you can feel the buzz kick in first on the pegs, on the fairing, then on the handlebar. And they continue to rise as the revs climb. So I don't know if it was the lack of fairing on the RTR which helped mask them, or just simply the engine tune, because that's another thing. Coming back to the engine tune, let's go back to the urban mode, which is supposed to be the softest map, the most linear, the most progressive, and the throttle here. Yeah, exactly. It is so aggressive at the first touch. It is super sensitive, which is completely wrong, because it's even more sensitive than what it is in the track mode. And I see this to be a real big problem, especially for new riders when you are riding around in the city, because the bike has this tendency to suddenly de-forward when you least expect it. So it's almost a safety hazard in my books, and definitely needs fixing. And also, yeah man, there's just too much engine braking in the first and second gear, which makes the on-off throttle transitions that much more choppy. And this is another thing which I've observed on two separate new RR310s, is the steering, especially at really slow speeds, is very heavy. Something which I've never experienced on any of the previous iterations of the motorcycle. I think it's probably down to the cone set being over tightened, because I looked at the suspension, I looked at the tire pressure, they're perfectly fine. So again, this is another thing that they need to look into. And honestly, this just makes me sad, because all of these things are getting in the way of truly highlighting the full potential of the RR310 as a sporty bike which you can live with every day. Because there are so many things going for it. First and foremost is the weight. It's only 175 kgs weight, which is lovely. And I'm so happy that the addition of the winglets has not resulted in a higher weight, because as beautiful as they look, the chances of you actually being able to derive the benefits of the winglets in terms of downforce, the kind of speed that you'll have to be going at, the only place you'll see that is at a track like BIC. And also that speed where they'll really be effective, you'll be there only for a few seconds. So honestly, they are just purely aesthetic. They look really cool, and I'm happy they've at least not added weight. But coming back to the versatility of this motorcycle, you have a really approachable 810mm seat height. The rider's triangle is surprisingly comfortable for a sporty motorcycle. The clutch is light. You have 180mm of ground clearance to scale our tallest speed breakers. And even in terms of tractability, man, because of TVS's glide-through technology, you can easily ride this thing in the city in the third gear just by feathering the clutch, and it'll pull cleanly, which is really good. Also in terms of the heat management, man, they've done a really good job. I was a little bit worried, considering now the engine is a little more high-strung with the boost in power and compression ratio. But the heat management continues to be at a good level. It does heat up, but never really gets too hot to bother you when you're riding around in the city.
I think it's quite clear that I was expecting a whole lot more from this new RR310, especially in the BTO trim, considering that the last BTO won our bike of the year on Living It Up in 2021. And also considering the strides that TVS had made with the RTR310 in terms of refinement. Also, you have to take into consideration the fact that now in this stunning Bomber Grey edition and with both the performance packages, it's going to put you back by about 3.31 lakh rupees, which is a colossal 55,000 rupee hike compared to the last BTO, which was fully loaded and also came in the special racing livery. And that seems like a tad too much, especially for a motorcycle which seems more like a work in progress than a complete package, with a lot of the teething issues which have still remained unresolved. The good news is that whether it's the fueling, the electronic calibration, I think that's something which TVS can easily fix quite easily and quite soon. And as and when they do fix and iron out all of these issues, they will have in this RR310 a worthy competitor to the more powerful RC390, which in fact is now about 10,000 rupees cheaper than this, but obviously doesn't get the same level of componentry in terms of fully adjustable suspension. So yeah, I really hope that they fix this soon, because we have a really good fight on our hands.